So good morning once again, guys. And today I'd like to show to you the solution to the statement of cash flows. Just by way of reminder, I'm not going to share this with you because I want you to do this on your own. And if you try doing this and then you have questions, then now is the time to ask questions about it. Otherwise, guys, you have to try to do this on your own as a practice also for the exams. All right. So the statement of cash flows, guys, we want for 2020. We said that we can construct the statement of cash flows because we have the income statement for 2020. We have the balance sheets for 2020 and 2019. So those three financial statements will allow us to construct the statement of cash flows. We're investigating the increase in cash from 2019 to 2020 from 7,282 to 14,000. So that means an increase in 6,718. The working paper that we're going to do should reflect also 6,718. So here it is, guys. I got 6,718. So as you know, guys, as you know, class, you start with the net income after tax. So this is the net income after tax for 2020, 253,584. Let me just engage the launch the digital pad. Okay. And add back depreciation. In this case, depreciation is 120. Here, 120. Let me first minimize this so it's easy for me to refer to the values. Okay, so we'd like to investigate this amount 6,718. So we again divide the activities into operating, investing, financing. Okay. We go through the balance sheet, and as a general rule, if an asset increases, then it's a use of cash. For example, itong short-term investment from 20,000 naging 71, and this goes to financing. Okay, so 51,632 negative because it's a use of cash. So ganun din sa iba, guys. I will not discuss this line by line because we have done this before. Ito na lang, guys, yung net fixed assets, kasi sabi natin, pag net fixed assets, hindi natin pwedeng kunin yung difference nito. In fact, dito, guys, dito class, kung titingnan natin, 2019 was 939, 2020 was 836. It went down. So you might think that this should be a use of source of cash kasi bumaba yung asset eh. But no, we have to compute that. Sabi natin, we have to do this. We have to use the beginning and ending ng net fixed assets, beginning and ending in order to compute for the how much was acquired. No? So isasama natin disposal at saka depreciation. And since wala naman disposal na information na binigay, then we assume that it's zero. So based on this, using you can use goal seek, we arrive at 17,050 as your acquisition. So pupunta sa investing yan. Okay? And the rest, guys, ito ang medyo kakaiba dito na hindi natin nagawa dati, yung common stock from 460 to 1680. So it increased, therefore it's a source of it will go under financing and then source of cash. Okay. Any questions, guys? Okay, walang questions. Okay, again guys, if you did not do this, syempre hindi kayo makakapagtanong kasi hindi nyo na-experience, wala tayong i-compare. But please do this, no? So napakita ko naman sa inyo yung solution. Okay. All right. So dito naman guys, sa statement of retained earnings, so magsisimula lang tayong retained earnings nung January 1, which is this one, 97632. So we have to trace kung paano naging 296,216. So just this, add the net income from the beginning retained earnings, add the net income. and then subtract the dividends, which gives us the then it will give us the ending balance 296,216. So ito 296,216. Okay, na-trace natin from beginning up to the ending balance of retained earnings. Okay. So any questions about this, guys? Okay, so pa-chat na lang kung clear so far. Sana nagawa nyo, no? Kasi sabi ko nga sa inyo, assignment nyo yun. So sayang kung hindi nyo nagawa kasi wala tayong matatanong, no? You'll not be able to clarify some things if you didn't even attempt to do this. So itong tatlong balances na to, 170, ito yun, 17, ito, and then yung 194, this one. So the sum of this is 6718, okay? Add the cash balance beginning to arrive at the ending. Okay. Pa-chat na lang guys kung clear so far. Okay. Okay. Dalawa lang sumagot. The rest? Okay. Thank you. Okay, then here guys, yung mga measures, yung net operating working capital, total operating capital. Okay, so let's look at this. Okay, for net operating working capital, we say that we learned that this is defined as operating current assets minus operating current liabilities. If we take a look at our balance sheet, ang operating current assets natin will involve cash, accounts receivable, and inventories. Hindi kasama si short-term investments, no? Okay, so yun ang operating current assets natin. I-sum up natin itong tatlong to minus the operating current liabilities, which includes your accounts payable and accruals. Hindi kasama si notes payable. Okay, so let me flash the formula here. It's the sum of C19, this is your cash, and then receivables and inventory, minus this is your accounts payable and your accruals. Okay, notice that hindi natin sinama si notes payable, hindi natin sinama si short-term investments. Okay, so that will be our net operating working capital. So we just copy this to the right. Okay, pareho lang yung formula na yan. Okay, nasa column D and then nasa column E. So we can see that investment in operating working capital has been increasing over the years, no? 2018, 2019, 2020. Now, we need to compute for the total operating capital, and total operating capital is computed just by adding your NOWC and your net fixed assets. So, sinam natin guys yung NOWC natin at saka net fixed assets to get your total operating capital. Okay, so this is the the total operating capital for 2018, 2019, and 2020. Okay. Then, based on this, the total operating capital, we can now compute for the net investment in TOC. Kailangan natin itong net investment para ma-compute natin yung free cash flow. Okay. Kasi ang free cash flow natin, if you recall guys, ang formula niya ito. NOPAT minus investment in TOC. Now, we cannot compute for the investment in TOC for 2018 kasi wala siyang prior value. Wala tayong 2017 figures. If we have TOC for 2017, then mako-compute natin yung net investment in total operating capital for 2018. So, compute lang natin yung 2019 at saka 2020. All right. And then we compute for the operating profit, net operating profit after tax, which is, anong formula nito? NOPAT is simply your EBIT Okay? EBIT times 1 minus tax rate. So dito, nag-create ako ng, meron na pala ditong tax rate, naglagay pa ako dito. But what I did was to give this a name, tax rate. Linagyan ko siya ng pangalan. Okay, so that ang naging formula natin ng NOPAT is simply your 1 minus tax rate. You notice this FS and ratios exercise, it means that's the worksheet. Okay, exclamation point, then tax rate. Yung unang part dito, that's the worksheet. Okay, that's what happens when I 1 minus, if I type tax, tax rate. So meron ditong tax rate for the workbook at saka may tax rate for the worksheet. Okay, I will not explain guys kung anong difference lang. Pero yung workbook, ibig sabihin yan, ginamit na natin yung pangalan na tax rate. Okay, kung saan natin unang ginamit yon, guys, that name will be true for all the workbook, the whole workbook, itong file na to. Tapos pag ginamit ko rin yung pangalan na worksheet sa yung pangalan na tax rate sa isang worksheet. For example, dito, ito, ginawa kong ang pangalan nito tax rate. Okay, so may conflict siya dun sa workbook at saka sa sa worksheet. So we can use the tax rate sa workbook or tax rate sa worksheet. Actually, it does not matter, no? So if I press this, tingnan ito, no? So this is the name of the file. Okay, ibig sabihin, yung pangalan na tax rate na to is used for the whole file. Okay? But apparently guys, ginamit ko na naman siya. Okay, ginamit ko na naman siya sa worksheet na to. Okay? So I can use this. Anyway, it's the same, 40% din yan. Okay, so that's the EBIT times 1 minus tax rate. Okay, so you have this. I just copied the formula here. Okay. So pareho lang siya. Okay, pause muna ako guys. Any questions, any clarifications dun sa pag-compute ng yung first 4 lines natin dito? Any questions, clarifications? Okay. Let me reverse again my question. Clear so far? Clear so far, guys? Yung pag-compute ng NOWC, TOC, net investment, at saka yung how to get, okay, thank you, Roy, for the question. TOC, you obtain TOC by, okay, TOC is simply your NOWC plus the net fixed assets. This one. May net fixed assets tayo. I-add natin sa si NOWC at saka si net fixed assets. Okay? Did that answer your question, Roy? Okay. All right. Any other questions, guys? Before we proceed. Okay. Again, let me ask, guys, clear so far? Clear ba so far, guys, yung up to NOPAT? Response, please. Yes. Thank you, Shariel. Thank you. Hans, salamat. Pauline, thank you. Sophia, thank you. And the rest, guys. Juliet, salamat. Okay. Anim pa lang sumagot. Sana Roy, salamat. Half man lang na may response tayo. Khalil, thank you. Phoebe, yeah. Joanna, okay. All right, so let's proceed, guys. Okay, free cash flow. By way of review, guys, sabi natin si free cash flow is the cash flow available for distribution to investors. Sino investors natin? Shareholders at saka creditors after deducting cash flow requirements for operations. Okay? Ang cash flow requirements natin for operations is the net investment. Okay, ito. So, free cash flow natin will be NOPAT, free cash flow. It will be your operating profit minus the net investment. Yan, no? Net operating profit minus our investment in total operating capital. Okay, so for 2019, our free cash flow was negative 1108. For 2020, it was negative 146. Okay, question. Is negative free cash flow bad? Okay. Pangit pa yung negative free cash flow? We know the answer, guys, pag negative yung EVA. Ano yun? Ibig sabihin, value was destroyed. So if you recall, guys, ang EVA, guys, ang decision rule natin dyan, if EVA is positive or greater than 0, then value was created by management, by the company. If it's less than 0, if it's negative, then value was destroyed. Is the same conclusion? Is it the same conclusion for free cash flow? Okay, the answer is no, guys, no. Okay, if you take a look at the formula of free cash flow, it's NOPAT minus investment in TOC. So it's possible for free cash flow to be negative. And negative free cash flow does not always mean that it's bad. Why? Notice that there are two numbers that we are subtracting. Now, if it's negative because there was a huge investment in TOC, okay yun. Okay? Kasi alam natin, pag nag-i-invest sa TOC, then that's potential for generating profit. Okay? Kasi operating capital is needed in order to generate sales. So kung ang dahilan kung bakit negative yung free cash flow is because there was a huge investment in TOC, just like this, no? There was 1.12 million investment in TOC. And ang NOPAT natin, 10,464. Therefore, guys, magiging negative yung free cash flow natin. And in this instance, okay lang yung negative na free cash flow. Okay, kasi more money was flowed to operation. Pinasok sa operations, pinasok sa operating capital. Okay. On the other hand, if free cash flow became negative because of very low NOPAT, then yun ang pangit, no? That's when it's not good. Okay. When will that happen? For example, let's go here. For example, if we take a look at the income statement, yung sales natin was not enough to cover the total operating cost. Kunyari ito 1 million, tapos ito 1.5 million. So mas malaki pa yung cost natin kaysa sa sales. So this means our EBIT will be negative 500. In that instance, guys, you'll come up with a negative NOPAT. Kasi ang formula natin ng NOPAT is EBIT times 1 minus tax rate. If our EBIT is already negative in the first place, then we will come up with a negative NOPAT. So pag negative yung NOPAT, guys, definitely negative yung free cash flow natin. Okay? So in that instance, guys, pangit yung yung pagiging negative free cash flow niya. Kasi it's attributable to a very poor operating performance. No? Operating profit, very poor operating profit. So just to clarify, guys, a negative free cash flow is not necessarily bad. It's not the same as a negative EVA. Pag negative economic value added, guys, definitely pangit yun kasi value was destroyed. A negative free cash flow, on the other hand, does not necessarily mean that it's bad because if the cause of the negative free cash flow is attributable to having a large investment in total operating capital, then that's good. That's good. Pero kung yung negative free cash flow is attributable to a very low NOPAT or a negative NOPAT, then pangit yung ganun. Okay, so I hope that's clear. Any questions about this concept of a negative free cash flow? So in this instance, guys, we cannot say that the negative free cash flow is bad kasi the company is investing in operating capital. Lalo ng 2019, ang laki ng dinagdag sa total operating capital, no? Although sa 2020, guys, mas maliit na. Pero again, yung negative free cash flow dito kasi mataas naman yung NOPAT. In fact, NOPAT for 2020 was higher compared to 2019. And yet, negative free cash flow pa rin tayo kasi nga, mas malaking ininvest sa operating capital. Okay. Any questions, guys? Any clarifications sa free cash flow? Yung negative free cash flow? Kasi yung last example natin, yung previous lesson natin, yung free cash flow natin positive. Kaya hindi natin diniscuss yung concept ng negative free cash flow. Okay? Again, guys, chat na lang. Is it clear so far? Clear so far ba, guys, yung ano natin, yung discussion ng negative free cash flow? Okay, thank you. Thank you, guys, for your feedback. No? Once again, guys, I'd like to encourage you to ask questions. If you need some clarifications, please do not be ashamed to ask questions. Okay, gusto natin na ma-clarify right here and then kung meron kayong mga doubts or questions. Once again, guys, if you haven't done this, I strongly encourage you to do that kasi practice nyo rin to. No? Okay, now let's go to ROIC. Ano ba yung concept ng ROIC? Pag nakakita kayo, guys, ang una yung return, no? Return on equity, return on assets, return on net assets, return on capital employed. Maraming measures ng return, maraming metrics ng return. Okay? Ang ano dyan, ang hint natin dyan, guys, ang nasa numerator, ratio yan, and there's a numerator and there's a denominator. Yung numerator niyan, usually, it's either net income or net operating profit. Dalawa lang naman usually ang pinaglalaroan yan. No? So dito, yung ROIC, you have a numerator and denominator. No? Ang numerator natin dito will be our NOPAT. Okay? And then our denominator will be yung invested capital or your TOC. So let me, once again, flash this formula. Okay, so quick review na lang din natin to. So for ROIC, return. So it's equal to your NOPAT, tapos naka-pair yan with TOC beginning. Okay. In the same manner, ROE, okay, return na naman to, equity. Ibig sabihin, ang denominator natin, shareholders' equity. Total shareholders' equity. Yun ang denominator natin. And then, yung numerator natin is net income after tax. Ganun din si return on assets. Net income after tax divided by total assets. Okay, so yung ganun, guys, yung ratio ng mga returns. Ano? Now, as we said, guys, when analyzing the performance of the firm, we don't just use the NOPAT kasi static yung ibibigay sa atin na information na to. No? So is 125,460 good? Okay, what we can say is that it decreased in 2019 but increased in 2020. Okay, in that sense, guys, pinakapangit yung performance ng 2019. In absolute sense, if we just compare this. No? But technically, guys, malalaman natin kung maganda yung performance yan by using a ratio called this one, ROIC. And yung ratio natin is your NOPAT divided by TOC beginning. So if I go here, so the ratio is NOPAT divided by the beginning capital. Okay, beginning capital. And for this one, NOPAT divided by the beginning capital. Okay, so tama naman yung formula natin. And then when do we say that the ROIC has, when do we say that based on the ROIC, the firm has created value? We compare the ROIC with the weighted average cost of capital. In this case, 0.92 vis-a-vis 10%, we conclude that value was destroyed. Kasi in order for the company to create value, dapat yung return on invested capital natin should be greater than the weighted average cost of capital. Okay? So for 2019, there was value was destroyed, but for 2020, nakabawi siya. 13.36% as ROIC is greater than 10%. Therefore, value was created. Okay? So importante yung ROIC, guys, in order to assess whether a firm is doing good or not. Now, kunyari, no? Magagamit natin yung ROIC to compare. Company A, for example, Company B. ROIC ni Company A, let's say, is 13.36%. Kunyari, si Company B, let's say, ang ROIC niya 12%. So let's assume that both of these are greater than their respective WACCs. So ano ibig sabihin ng 13.36 na yan or 13 centavos? Well, we can analyze this based on the concept of ROIC. No? Kasi ang ibig sabihin ng 13 centavos or 13.36% is that for every 1 peso of operating capital, nakapag-generate si Company A ng 13 centavos of operating profit. Kasi di ba NOPAT to, no? NOPAT yung numerator. Ito, TOC. So how do we interpret that? For every 1 peso of operating capital provided to the management, they earned 13 centavos of operating profit after tax. Si Company B naman, sa bawat 1 peso of operating capital, nag-earn sila ng 0.12 centavos. 12 cents lang pala. No? 12 cents. So we can say, guys, that based on ROIC, mas maganda yung performance ni A kaysa kay B. Kasi mas malaking return ang return per operating capital ang generate ni A as compared to B. Okay? So we can compare whether A is better than B or vice versa using ROIC. But not, guys, not NOPAT. Okay, not NOPAT kasi pwedeng 100,000 lang si A, tapos si B 1 million, and yet, guys, it doesn't tell us the whole picture. Yung na-generate ba na 1 million, ilan ba yung binigay sa kanila ng operating capital? Yun ang sinasabi natin doon. Okay? We can just say that B had a greater NOPAT, 1 million, against A, which is 100,000. But we cannot say that B performed better. Okay? We don't just base it on that singular NOPAT. That's why ratios are very important. Okay? Kasi ngayon may basis ng comparison na tayo. Sa bawat piso na binigay sa kanila na operating capital, sino yung mas nag-generate ng mas malaking operating profit? So in this example, it's Company A. So in this instance, we can say that Company A performed better than Company B. Okay, pause ulit ako. Clear yun, guys? Clear ba? Any questions about the concept of ROIC? Is that clear? Okay, respond lang, guys, kung clear yung ROIC natin. Okay, thank you, Theo. Okay, thank you, Roy. The rest? Okay, thank you. Tatlo lang, guys. Sometimes I ask myself, why is it that every time I request for a response from you, I will have to beg. I will have to beg and request, and it takes long. No? minsan naglalag tayo, kaya minsan katulad ngayon na naman, no? Tatlo lang yung sumagot out of 26. I hope we have more responses from the class. Unless talaga may mga questions kayo. If you have questions, please feel free to ask them now. Okay, I'll ask again my question, guys. So far, clear ba tayo sa ROIC? Yung pag-compute at saka yung sa interpretation. Okay, thank you. Thank you, Joanna. Okay, Hans, salamat. Okay, that's more like it. Salamat, guys. No? Sana pag ganyan, kasi ano lang ako, nare-reassure lang ako na you're there. I keep on saying this, pero that's very important to me. No? Kasi I don't want to continue tapos hindi pala clear. Kasi we defeat the purpose of our meeting here. Sayang yung 90 minutes natin na magkakasama tayo. Tapos hindi pala maganda yung pag-explain ko, hindi nyo pala nakukuha. Then, I would that before we proceed, clear sana yung explanation. Okay. All right. So let's go now to, sabi natin guys, si ROIC, pinsan yan si EVA. Kung ano man yung result ng ROIC guys, consistent yan with the result of EVA. Kung sinasabi ni ROIC na value was destroyed, EVA then will also generate the same result. Okay, so pareho sila, no? Pareho sila because they related to each other. Okay, let's start with the EVA. Let's do EVA. Okay, sabi natin guys, si EVA, economic value added. The concept here is, yes, nag-generate nga ng profit yung company, okay, operating profit. Kaso, ang tanong, ano yung capital na binigay sa kanila at yung capital na yon hindi libre. Because there's this concept of opportunity cost. The investors could have placed the money elsewhere, okay, and earn profit and earn returns for their investment. Ganon din dito guys sa company na to. Although nag-generate tayo ng NOPAT, for example, in 2019, nakapag-generate tayo ng NOPAT na 10,464. Pero, ang tanong, anong capital ba ang binigay, ang pinagamit? So, yung beginning capital natin, as far as 2019 is concerned, ang beginning capital natin is 1,138,600. Okay? And we will charge management with the use of this operating capital na to. I-charge natin sila ng WACC na 10%. Okay, parang ano yan, parang bayad, no? Capital charge, parang bayad dun sa paggamit ng capital. Para ma-check natin kung okay ba siya, no? Nag-earn ba talaga yung company. Alright, so how do we compute that? So there are two ways to compute for the EVA. Ang na-discuss lang natin yung isa, no? Using NOPAT. Okay, dito, using NOPAT. So how do we compute for EVA? We start with the NOPAT and then we subtract the finance charge, the capital charge. The capital charge is obtained by the beginning capital multiplied by the weighted average cost of capital. Okay, so that's how we compute for the EVA using NOPAT. Okay, so let me flash the formula. So this is NOPAT, no? D51 minus capital at the beginning, okay, multiplied by the weighted average cost of capital. Okay, so this one, guys, if I flash this and then get the result, so that's 113,860. Okay, that is the charge, the capital charge. Eh, ang NOPAT lang yan, 10,464. So, ibig sabihin, dito kitang-kita natin na value was destroyed. Kasi NOPAT was not sufficient in order to address or to compensate for the capital charge of the beginning capital multiplied by the 10%. Think of this as parang investment to ng shareholders at saka creditors. Investment to. Okay, so ang ginagamit natin na rate is 10% kasi that's the weighted average cost of capital. So dito sa 1,138,600 na 10%, it's 1,138,60. No? Tapos ang operating profit ng management is 10,464 lang. So hindi talaga umabot, no? So negative 103,396. And we said that if EVA is negative, then value was destroyed. Now, compare that with 2020. No? So 2020 naman, nag-generate ng NOPAT na 301,584. Now, again, the question, magkanong capital ang provide sa management? 2257632 multiplied by 10%. This gives us, ito, this is 225763. Ito yung capital charge. Ang NOPAT natin 301, greater than 225763. Therefore, we say that value was created, no? 75821. Okay? And then another way to compute this, guys, so this is via using NOPAT. Ito naman using ROIC. Okay? Again, ano yung concept nito? Ang concept nito, okay, pinagamit tayo ng TOC beginning, and then we net yung ROIC minus WACC. Okay, nag-earn nga tayo ng ROIC, no? Return on Invested Capital. Kaso, may charge tayo dun sa paggamit ng capital na yan, which is WACC. So here you can see that if ROIC is less than the WACC, then we'll get a negative answer. Okay? So, two ways to compute for your EVA. This is one way. This is the one way, the one that we used last time. And this is the other way. If you notice, guys, pareho nilang ginagamit yung TOC at saka yung WACC. Nag-iiba na lang dun sa paggamit ng ROIC at saka NOPAT. One uses ROIC, one uses NOPAT. But both of them make use of TOC beginning and the weighted average cost of capital. So if I flash this formula, so it's the beginning capital, C49, times the difference between your ROIC and your weighted average cost of capital. So dito, very easily makikita natin na negative siya. Negative. Kasi ang ROIC natin, 0.92 lang. Ang WACC natin, 10%. Okay? So negative. Therefore, kaya nga naging negative din yung answer natin dito. Negative 103. And pareho lang yan, guys. No? Pareho lang yung EVA natin dito. Same thing here. It's your TOC at the beginning. And then get the difference between the ROIC and the WACC. Okay? And we know that this is 3.36 multiplied by the beginning capital. So we will have a positive EVA. Okay. Any questions, guys, with EVA? Paki-chat ulit, guys, kung clear so far yung EVA unless you have questions. Okay, thank you. Okay, thank you so much, guys. Thank you. Okay. Now, if you haven't done this, I strongly encourage you guys to do it, no? Kasi kasama sa natin to sa law exam next week. And lastly, guys, nga pala ito, hindi pa natin nagawa, yung market value added. So market value added, we need to compute for the market capitalization. Ang market capitalization is simply magkano yung market value ng equity ngayon. And that's computed simply by the stock price multiplied by the number of shares. Okay? And then isubtract natin yung book value. So let me flash here the market value added. So it's the market capitalization, which is the stock price multiplied by the number of shares, and then subtract that so that the book value of the equity. Okay, so for 2020, it's the stock price multiplied by the number of shares minus the value of the equity. Okay, and we see that on both accounts, guys, okay naman yung performance ng firm, no? There was market value added sa 2019, 42. Ito naman yung mas malaki yung market value added. Okay, but if you will ask me, guys, mas stringent talaga yung paggamit ng EVA. Kasi there seems to be a conflict here kasi sabi dito sa MBA, okay naman siya, pero sa EVA, hindi naman okay. If there seems to be a conflict, guys, iba kasi mina-measure ni MBA, iba rin si EVA. Okay, EVA computes for the kung nakapag-create ng value for that specific operating period. No? So for 2019, it was value destruction, but for 2020, it was value creation. Okay. All right, so that ends, guys, our discussion here. Any questions? Any questions about our computation for our construction of the statement of cash flows? And then also the computation here sa EVA, MVA, and ROIC. No questions? Okay. All right, so let's now go to the, okay, so let's continue working on this. Okay, so last time what we did was to do the common size statement, vertical analysis, and also the horizontal analysis. Magkaiba, guys, yung purpose nito, no? Ang common size statement, we look at the performance on a particular year. So 2018, for example, dito makikita natin na yung cost ratio natin, that's 94 centavos per peso of sales. Tapos yung margin natin, 2 centavos ang na-generate ng company sa bawat piso na binibenta. Then we saw that in 2019, it was a negative, no? So sa bawat piso na nabebenta natin, nalulugi tayo ng 1.6 centavos. Then there was recovery in 2020, 3.6 centavos in profit margin natin. Bumaba din yung cost ratio natin, which is good. Okay. Then sa common size statement, tinitingnan natin on a per year basis. And then sa horizontal analysis, kino-compare natin, no? Kino-compare natin yung period performance. No? So 2018-2019 and 2019-2020. Okay? So sabi natin, guys, sa horizontal analysis, we will have a problem kung may negative. No? Negative yung previous value or negative yung, this is the, with reference between 2018 and 2019, no? Between this, may negative tayo dito. Okay, medyo problematic, guys, tong ano natin na to, no? Problematic tong ratio natin na to. Pati ito din, between 2019 and 2020, may problem din tayo kasi pag may negative dito, guys, nagkakaproblema sa ratios eh. Now, I'm going to say, nagkakaproblema sa horizontal analysis. Okay, I'm going to show you here an Excel file and just explain quickly why that is the case. No? Okay, I'm going to share this, pero lalagyan ko lang siya ng formula. Let me show you, guys, kung bakit may problema kung may negative value tayo. So here is the old value, here is the new value. Okay, and then we compute for the change, yung increase or decrease. So that's just the new value minus the old value. Okay, so that's 60. 70 dito, 110. Okay, when we compute for the percentage change, di ba yung formula natin, sabi natin, it's the new over the old minus 1. But that's our formula. Okay, di ba nangyari sa formula ko? Ay, mali. Dapat 4 to. Okay. So first, guys, ang problema natin, yung percentage change between the new and the old, guys, dapat positive to. Di ba? Bakit siya positive? Kasi from negative 10, naging 50, nag-increase to eh. Okay, so that's the first problem that we encounter when we have a negative value. Pag kinukuha natin growth rate, pag may negative value, that happens. So, how did we remedy this? Sabi natin last time, we get the absolute figure. Kaya nga dito, ang ginawa natin, we just get the absolute figure. Okay, so naging positive siya. Okay, so tama na to. Kasi from negative naging positive, so that should be an increase. The percentage change should be positive. However, guys, if you notice, okay, ang pinaka-problema natin dito, from negative 10 to 50, ang pinaka-change niya is 60. Ito naman, from negative 60 to 50, the increase was 110. Okay? Therefore, if we analyze, di ba dapat mas magiging malaki yung percentage increase kung mas malaki yung change? Di ba? If there was a bigger change in absolutely, guys, dapat mas malaking percentage change. Eh ito ang problema natin dito, 183 tapos ito 600. Mas malaking pa yung percentage change na mas maliit yung in-increase. Dito 110 yung in-increase, no? Okay, tapos ito 60. So parang something's not right here, no? Okay, that's the problem, guys, when you have a negative either the old dito sa ilalim, sa new naman, no? Ang new dito yung negative. Okay, if you take a look at this, yung change nito, yung decrease from 50 to negative 10, that's negative 60, no? Ito from 100 to negative 10, ang decrease niya 110. Okay, pero kung titingnan natin percentage change, again, bakit mas malaking percentage change ng mas maliit lang yung change? Ito 60 lang yung binaba niya eh. Ito 110. And yet the percentage change is greater here, 120, ito 110. So mathematically, guys, tama naman yung formula na to, no? Tama, it's a new divided by old minus 1. Kaso, parang it doesn't make sense now kasi parang bakit ganun? Bakit mas malaki na nga yung increase, mas maliit pa yung percentage change, no? So that's the issue here, that's the problem here, guys, pag may mga negative na values tayo. Kaya nga, there are yung iba ang ginagawa, pag may negative na value, okay, hindi na sila naglalagay ng number kasi it doesn't make sense eh. Parang may mali yung yung percentage change. So I've seen yung iba ang ginagawa, kunyari sa Wall Street Journal, nakita ko na pag may negative yung isa dito, either yung old o yung new, ang ginagawa lang niya, pag nag-increase, ginagawa niya, ang nilalagay niya P, no? So lahat to nag-increase, so lahat ang ilalagay dito P. Pag bumaba, positive, pwedeng ilagay N. Yung iba L, no, less. So it depends on what you use. I-define naman yan kung yung P increase or decrease. Okay? So I'll just share with this worksheet with you, workbook with you, and try to see, guys. I hope it makes sense, guys, na yung question na bakit mas maliit yung percentage change nung mas malaki yung change, di ba? From negative 60, naging 50, ang laki ng change. It's 110. Pero yung percentage change niya, mas maliit kaysa dito. So that's the problem that we get when we have a negative value, either dun sa old at saka sa new. Dito din, di ba? Okay, pare-pareho naman yung new value nila dito. And yet, ito ang binago, 110, ang increase, ang decrease, pero mas mababa yung percentage change niya. 120, 110. So something does not seem to be right. Okay? So just be aware of that, guys. Okay? Just be aware of that, and may ibibigay ko to, guys, and may i-share akong formula dito. Tingnan niyo na muna tapos saka na natin i-discuss. So let's now go to our main discussion for today. So balikan na natin to, yung ratios natin. All right. Okay, what we find here, guys, are financial ratios. And why is it important to do ratio analysis? When we try to assess the performance of a company, we would like to know if it's performing well or not, okay, by doing what we call benchmarking. So pag nagre-ratio analysis tayo, guys, lagi naka-benchmark, no? Benchmark. Now, where do we benchmark? Dalawa, guys. Dalawa yung benchmarking natin. Across T and with respect to C. Ano kaya yung T dito? What is T and what is C? Anyone? Yung T, ginawa na natin yan, no? Last time. So what does it mean to benchmark against, ano kaya yung T? Which is this one. Ito yung ginawa natin last time, no? Ito, no? Ito yun. Looked at 2018, 19, 20, and then yung period, no? Yung growth rate between 2018 and 19. So we're benchmarking against what? Anyone? Saan tayo nagbe-benchmark? Across what? All right. Thank you, Theo. Thank you, Roy. You're correct, no? We're benchmarking across time. Okay. That's why we're looking. That's why hindi lang natin tinitingnan, guys, yung isang year. Sa project natin, it's 3 years. 3 years, no? Okay. And we benchmark not only across time, but also, ano tong C? Okay, thank you, Roy. It's, we benchmark with our competitors. So, importante yun, guys. Kasi companies, unless monopoly yung company, that's very important for firms, no? That we benchmark against competitors. Tignan natin yung mga best practices ng ano ng other companies. Kasi again, guys, companies do not operate in a vacuum. Hindi pa pwede yung we don't look at what others are doing, no? So importante na, sabi nga ni Sun Tzu dun sa book niya, The Art of War, sabi niya, know your enemies. Know yourself, know your enemies. Kasi pag hindi mo alam yung enemies mo, chances are you will be blindsided by what they're doing. Yung pala, ninanakaw na yung mga customers nyo. Okay? So it's important that we understand what are especially our direct competitors. No? Know ourselves, know our own strengths, know our own limitations, but also know your enemies. Okay, so there are 5 types of ratios that we're going to look at. Ito yon, no? Ito yung L, AM, DR, PR, and MV. Yun ang mga titingnan natin. No? So what are those 5 types of ratios? So yung mga ratios na titingnan natin will be L, AM, okay, DR, PR, and MV ratios. These are the 5 main classifications of ratios. Yung una, guys, is your liquidity ratio. Okay, liquidity. How capable is the company in paying its current obligations as they become due? Okay, so take note, guys, diba, ang company nangungutang yan. Okay, they engage with their suppliers. Sometimes binibigyan sila ng ng credit terms. So pwede magkaroon ng syempre there will come a time na kailangan bayaran nila yun. So, pwede rin silang umutang na long term, pero pwede yung may portion dun sa long term na utang na kailangan bayaran na nila, no? Currently. So meron ding, sabi natin, mga accrued expenses, utilities, nagamit na natin pero hindi pa nababayaran. So they are current liabilities that have to be paid as they fall due. And if the company's capability to pay these current obligations is called liquidity. How liquid is the company? Okay. Then A, we have your asset management. Asset management. How well is the company utilizing its resources in order to generate profit? Okay. Gaano nila na-utilize efficiently yung assets nila, whether it's current assets or long-term assets. Okay. Are they able to utilize their assets efficiently para mag-generate ng greater profit for the firm? Okay. Or are they able to utilize it in in order to create more value for the investors. Okay, then you have also debt ratio. Okay. How well is the company able to leverage? Okay. By using debt. Okay, sabi natin may purpose yung debt, may gamit din yan, no? And I hope I don't sound like a broken record in saying that credit is important, especially if it's to be used to finance projects that whose returns are greater than its weighted average cost of capital, and that the company doesn't have sufficient funds in order to finance a project. A good finance department, a good CFO will make sure that funds are readily available so that makakapag-invest yung company dun sa mga worthwhile projects na yun. And then this one is profitability ratios. Profitability ratios. And the last is market value ratios. Market value ratios. Okay, so these are the 5 types of ratios that we're going to look into today. No? Hindi natin matatapos lahat to. Which brings me, guys, before I forget, may I request everyone, please, I hope this does not fall on deaf ears kasi hindi natin matatapos to. Kung pwede lang, kasi andiyan na naman yung formula. No? I already gave this formula to you. And the figures are available naman dyan sa balance sheet and income statement. Sana, guys, kung pwede, computing nyo na to, no? Para next meeting, which also brings me, guys, I'd like to ask you kung okay lang ba na yung long exam natin, wag na lang next Tuesday, but next Thursday na lang. Kasi we would like to finish this first before we have our long quiz para tapos lahat ng module 2 natin. Is that okay, guys? May I have your response to that? Kung okay lang na exam natin, instead of next Tuesday, this coming Tuesday, next Thursday na lang. Okay lang ba? Okay. All right. Thank you, guys. Thank you. Kasi gusto nating tapusin na muna to. Salamat. But may I have your cooperation, guys, na para mas mabilis yung discussion natin, para mag-focus lang tayo sa interpretation, sa understanding. Kasi kailangan yun para sa project nyo, no? Itong mga ratios na to, you'll be doing this, and then syempre i-analyze nyo yan. Please, paki-solve na lang to yung hindi natin masosolve. Pati itong DuPont na to. DuPont is just return on equity. Okay? Return on equity, and then inano lang siya yung classify into 3 other measures. Profit margin, total asset turnover, and the financial leverage multiplier. And then the last one is yung Altman Z. So this is a discriminant analysis tool developed by Altman in order to determine if a company will become bankrupt or not. No? So this is a bankruptcy tool. So we can make use of this tool to determine if this company might become bankrupt or not. So you just use these ratios. Notice that it makes use of ratios. It makes use of ratios. Okay. All right. So thank you. So it's Thursday then. No? Thursday yung yung long exam natin. Okay. So let's take a look now at the ratios. Kahapon, guys, sa mga classes, other classes, umabot lang kami dito sa cash conversion cycle. Pero hindi namin masyado na-discuss pa yung cash conversion cycle. So let's start with liquidity ratios. We have 2 types, current ratio at saka quick ratio. So ang formula ng liquidity ratios is just current assets over current liabilities. Okay, so if we take a look at this, guys, gawin natin hindi industry to, no? Competitor. So ito yung figures ng direct competitor. And this is the figure for 2020. Okay, so 2020. So i-compare natin siya sa 2020 ni XYZ. Okay, current assets over current liabilities. If we, ano ibig sabihin ng 2.7 na to? Ang technique dyan sa ratios, guys, lalagyan yung denominator 2.7 over 1. Diba? 2.7 is just equal to 2.7 over 1. It means that for every 1 peso of current liability, the company has 2.7 pesos of current assets in order to pay for this current liability. Okay? So does that mean that the company has sufficient funds to pay its current obligations? Kasi 2.7 pesos ng current assets per 1 peso of current liability. The answer is both yes and no. Okay? Yes, because from the just from the value itself, 2.7 pesos ng current assets in order to pay 1 peso of current liability. So okay, no? Numerically okay. No, because you have to take a look at the quality of the current assets. Okay, which I'm going to explain in a while, no? Kasi hindi lang basta-basta titingnan natin yung current ratio. This should also be used in consonance with yung quick ratio, which I'm going to explain in a while. So let's first compute for the current ratio. So it's equal to current assets natin. Okay, sandali ah. Let me hide the other cells para mas mabilis ko ma-access yung ano. So let me hide this. Hide ko muna to. Hide. Okay. So that it's easy for me to access the values. Okay, current ratio, it's equal to current assets. Ito yung current assets natin, total current assets divided by total current liabilities. Yeah. Okay, enter. All right, then we can copy the formula to the right. Okay, so tapos andito din guys yung ano, no? May spark line na dito. Palitan ko lang yung, gawin ko na lang line. Okay. All right. So this tells us that in 2018, the company had 2.3 pesos of current assets to pay off its current obligations. So numerically, okay siya. Kaya ng company yung magbayad ng current liabilities. It went down into 2019. So mas na-lessen yung capability niya na magbayad ng current obligations nila. And then there was an improvement in 2020, 2.6. Okay? So makikita natin dito, yung sa spike line natin, pinakamababa ng 2019, but there was an improvement in 2020 as regards the capability of the firm to pay its current obligations. No? Okay, however, guys, okay, benchmarking against a competitor, talo tayo ng competitor. 2.7 si competitor, tas tayo 2.6 lang. Okay, so across time, guys, the lowest performance was in 2019. So, and then naka-recover ng 2020, tumaas siya. Okay. But sabi ko kanina guys, hindi enough tong current ratio. Kasi kung titingnan natin tong assets, no? Let's take a look at 2018. Okay. Magkano yung babayaran? 481. Ito. Ito yung current liabilities. Okay. Accounts payable, notes payable, accruals. 481. Magkano yung current assets ng company? 1124. So from the looks of it, guys, mukhang okay, no? Pero tingnan natin guys yung qualities ng quality ng current assets natin. Okay, you have cash 9,000. You have short-term investments 48,600. You have AR 351. You have AR, you have inventory 715. Assume natin guys na madaling yung AR easily collected na yan, no? Madali na makollect yan. So makukuha na kagad natin yan. Eh yung inventories guys, sabihin natin matagal pa yan. Hindi pa nga na raw materials pa lang yung karamihan dyan. Okay? So, kung naging due na yung current liabilities, let's say tomorrow, can we pay? Kasi if we sum up this one, hanggang AR lang, okay, we only have 408 guys. Ang utang natin 481. Hindi tayo makakabayad. Okay, hindi tayo makakabayad. Kasi karamihan nasa inventories yung natin, yung assets, current assets natin. Okay, so ang lesson dito guys, be careful when analyzing yung current ratio. Kasi hindi pwede tayong huminto sa current ratio. Okay, importante na i-compute natin yung current ratio. And sabi nga natin, it generates 2.3. Nung 2018, 2.3. Nung 2019, naging ano na lang, naging 1.5. So bumaba. No? Okay? Buti na lang sa 2020, medyo tumaas siya. Okay, so we're talking of the liquidity of the firm, which means kaya ba ng firm na bayaran yung current liability? If I copy this to the right, okay, 659 lang yung cash, short-term investment at saka AR. Eh dito ang utang 1328 eh, diba? Wala pa ngang kalahati. Okay, so we have a problem in 2019. Sa ano naman sa 2020, 1039 yung ano, yung current liability, 963 yung assuming na yung receivables madali na siyang i-convert into cash, no? Pero paano kung hindi ito pahirapan pa dito mag-collect, tapos yung iba pa nga halos bad debts na, uncollectible accounts na, you'll have a problem. You'll have a problem paying these total current liabilities. We'll have liquidity problems, guys. Okay? So that's why instead of just looking at current ratio, tinitingnan din natin yung quick ratio. So si quick ratio, another name for this is, let me just, right? Another name for quick ratio is acid test. Acid test. Acid test ratio. Okay, sa acid test ratio, you'll notice guys na ang kasama lang si cash, short-term investment at saka si receivables. Yung most liquid assets, ito yung tinignan natin kanina. Hindi kasama si inventories, hindi kasama si prepayments. Okay, ito lang yung pinaka-liquid dun sa current assets. Di ba ang current assets natin arranged yan according to liquidity, cash, short-term investments, and receivables. Siya lang yung kasama sa quick ratio or acid test ratio. Hindi kasama si inventory at saka hindi kasama si prepayments, no? So this is equal to, if we sum up yung unang tatlo lang, no? Yung ginawa natin kanina, no? Cash, short-term investments, receivables. Okay? And then divide this by yung total current liabilities natin. Okay, so si quick ratio or acid test ratio, mas maliit guys, no? 0.8 lang. Yan. So ano ibig sabihin yan? Assuming na yung receivables quickly mako-collect yan, naroon lang tayong 80 centavos, no? To pay our a 1 peso obligation, current obligation. In fact, guys, bumagsak siya dito sa 2019, no? Okay? So sa 2019 may problema tayo ng liquidity. Kasi ibig sabihin sa as far as the quick assets is concerned, yung pinaka madaling ma-convert into cash, 50 lang guys ang available natin in order to pay a 1 peso current obligations. And 2020 tumaas naman siya, medyo nag-level na siya, pero talo pa rin tayo ng competitor. Si competitor, ang quick ratio niya is 1.0. Okay, ibig sabihin, yung quality ng niya, cash, marketable securities, at saka receivables, enough siya in order to cover its current obligations. Okay, so ginagamit natin guys yung liquidity para malaman kung kaya ba ng company magbayad ng current obligations nila as they fall due. Okay, clear yan guys, clear? Paki-chat nga kung clear yung liquidity natin. Kindly please, kindly chat if yung concept ng liquidity ratio is clear. Okay, thank you. Okay, others guys? Feedback please kung clear yun so far. Okay. Okay. So mukhang I think I will have to be resigned just to content with 5 or 6 responding to questions, no, to queries. Siguro sasanayin ko lang yung sarili ko na not to expect na lang that all will participate. So pag makakuha ko ng 5 responses, siguro okay na yan. Kasi kahit anong guys kahit anong pakiusap ko na na mag-respond naman kayo, wala, I'm not getting what I was hoping for. Okay. Sige, I'll just resign myself to that fact. Okay, so inventory turnover, guys. Ano ibig sabihin ng inventory turnover? Formula niya, cost of goods sold over average inventory. So cost of goods sold is a periodic value. Ibig sabihin periodic value, kino-compute yan for the whole year. Now yung inventory, guys, it's a point in time value unless we get the average. So mas maganda kapag inventory turnover ang kino-compute natin. Since cost of goods sold is a periodic value, then we also at least try to get the periodic value ng inventory. Kaya nga kinukuha natin average, beginning and ending. Okay? So let's compute for the inventory turnover ng 2018. So it will be cost of goods sold, okay, divided by the average, no? Kukunin natin yung average. Let me type here, average. Average ng ano? Average daw ng inventory. Okay. Average ng inventory. Ang problema, guys, wala naman tayong 2017, no? Pero pwede pa rin natin ilagay yung formula na to so that we can copy this to the right. Yun ang objective natin. E paano yung inventories dito na text? It's okay, guys. Babasahin ni Excel yan as nothing. So, ang gagamitin niya na figure is just the average of 715, which is just 715,200. So sa 2018, hindi tayo makakapag-average. Ang gagamitan lang ni Excel is 715,200. Pero sa 2019, it will be the average of 1287 and 715. Okay? So we can do that. Okay, close natin to. Control Enter. Okay, so it's 4. No? Let me flash the formula. So I'll just show you what the average of this one is. Ayan, 715,200. That's the average of yung C and B natin kanina, no? Okay. All right. So we can copy this to the right. Okay. So ito, average ng C22, D22. And if you see what this is, okay, 1,000,01280. So that's the average. So average nito, no? Average of this one. Okay, so tama yan. Okay. Okay, and this one, 3.9. Okay, so what does this inventory turnover tell us? Okay, this is a very important measure. Unang-una si competitor natin 6.1. Tayo 3.9. So let me illustrate that. Ano ba yung inventory turnover na yan? So this is our competitor. Ang inventory turnover niya is 6.1. ITO 6.1. So what does that mean? Inventory turnover tells us how many times a year does a company, okay, ano ba yung proseso niya? Buy raw materials, convert to finished goods, and then sell. Okay, so that's the process, no? Buy raw materials, convert to finished goods, and then sell. And 6.1 tells us how many times a year, 6.1 times yan, no? Does the competitor buy raw materials, convert to finished goods, and then sell? So that's 6.1 times. So this is 1 time, 1. Buy raw materials, sell. Buy raw materials, sell 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's my konti pang 0.1. So 6.1 times a year. Buy raw materials, convert to finished goods, sell. So this is the velocity of your of your operations. No? Yung velocity, yung speed by which the company is able to conduct its operations. Bibili ng raw materials, gagawa ng finished goods, ibebenta. 6.1 times. Okay? So the higher the ITO, the better kasi mas mabilis yung proseso ng company. The higher the company is able to turn over its raw materials into finished goods and then sell, better. So kung 20 times yan, ibig sabihin 20 times na uulit yung pagbenta, benta. Okay? So yung company natin si XYZ, okay, nung 2020, so ito tayo, no? Its inventory turnover is 3.9 based on our computation, 3.9. So 1, 2, 3, and there's a 0.9 here. So sa isang taon, 3.9 times ni XYZ, gumagawa ng raw materials, bumibili ng raw materials, convert to finished goods, and then sell. 3.9 times. So sino mas magaling, guys? Si competitor o si XYZ? Definitely, guys, si competitor. Kasi the higher the ITO, inventory turnover, the better. So dapat, ito, guys, that's a very important reason to assess. Bakit kaya 3.9 lang tayo? Samantalang si competitor natin 6.1 times. So that's a very, very important question, no? Eh, ano ba nangyayari? Bakit ang bagal ng ano natin? We're able to sell only 3.9 times a year while our competitor is eating us up. Siguro marami ng nating customers lumilipat na sa kanila. So maraming possible reasons na yan, no? So operations, ang bagal ng machine natin, sa kanila bagong equipment. Magaling yung sales force nila. Tayo ang hindi magagaling yung nagbebenta ng ano natin, no? Customer service natin palpak. So wala tayong masyadong repeat customers kasi we don't deal with our customers correctly. Yung customer responsiveness natin is very slow, very poor. So word of mouth yan, sinasabi ng mga ano, ay, huwag kayo bibili kasi ang pangit yan. So the result is disastrous. 3.9 times lang yung company nakakabenta. Okay, so these ratios, guys, are very important. They provide vital information that should help the company, that should help management analyze why these things are such. Metric yan, 3.9 versus 6.1. And numbers don't lie. So there's a glaring difference between how the competitor does things and how our company is doing things. So yung whole gamut niya ng operations, yung pagbili ng supplies, baka nahihirapan tayo kumuha ng supplies. It takes us very long to get raw materials. Possible yun. Operations natin, ang daming wastage, luma na kasi equipment natin. Yung mga empleyado natin, very slack. Yung iba nandadaya kasi ginagantihan tayo, hindi natin tinatrato empleyado natin na maganda. So these questions, guys, no? I've been counseling someone na gusto na talaga mag-resign doon sa company na yun kasi chef siya. Tapos talagang iba yung sa kanila, iba yung trato. Sabi ko dun sa sa loob ko, if management does not treat its employees well, babalik at babalik sa kanila. Kasi employees are the lifeblood also. Not only the customers, but the employees. They're very important. Okay? Pwede kasi isabotage yan sila. No? Isang sabotage lang ng isang empleyado, tapos maapektuhan yung diba? Yung naalala yung Jollibee, who knows if hindi lang natin alam, pero could that have been sabotaged also by disgruntled employees? Okay, so ang daming makikita dito, guys, no? Especially if we're working for the company. Okay, I'm running out of time. Ito namang R2, guys, tingnan natin. Sales over AR. Ano naman to? So this is equal to sales divided by, again, average, no? Average accounts receivable. Ganun din ang gawin natin, guys. Average accounts receivable. So it's this one divided by this one. Yan. Control Enter. Okay. All right. So quickly, anong ibig sabihin nito, guys? Okay. 9.8 tayo ng 2018, 2020, naging nangalahati na lang, less than half. Ano yung R2, ano yung accounts receivable turnover? Okay, ilang beses, nung nabenta na, ilang beses nakokolekta? Okay, ilang beses nagko-collect? So, noong 2020, 4.5 times a year na lang tayo. Okay, samantala yung competitor natin, 10 times a year. Benta, collect, benta, collect, benta, collect, benta, collect. So talong-talo tayo guys in terms of AR turnover. 4.5 times a year lang, ibig sabihin ng guys, matagal yung collection natin. Kasi 4.5 times a year lang nangyayari sa atin. Sa kanila, mas mabilis, no? 10 times na uulit yung proseso na yon. Okay, on the average. And then ito naman guys, yung up to is cost of goods sold divided by average AP. So cost of goods sold divided by average accounts payable. Average accounts payable is this one. Yan. Close. Control Enter. Yan. Ito naman opposite guys, no? Ito, ilang beses daw tayo after we buy, we pay yung ano natin, yung payables. So tayo, ibig sabihin itong 17 times, ang daming beses. Ang ibig sabihin yan guys, mas konti lang yung term na binibigay sa atin, credit terms. Samantalang si competitor, 15 times lang siya a year nagbabayad. No? Ibig sabihin, mas mahaba yung credit term na binigay sa kanya. Okay, it's already time guys. May I have just one last minute? May I have your permission guys? One last minute just to, yung formula lang nito. Okay lang ba? Time na pala, no? Okay lang ba? Kahit 1 minute lang, please. Okay. Thank you guys. Thank you. Salamat Salamat for understanding. Ito lang guys, itong DIO. So ano tong DIO guys? It's days inventory outstanding. Pakita lang natin So ito operating days per year. Ibig sabihin araw-araw open yung yung factory, yung company. So bigyan natin ng pangalan to. Let's call it Oper Days. Oper Days. Okay? Operating days. So days inventory outstanding will be equal to yung formula, no? Operating days divided by your ITO. So si ITO at saka si DIO guys, magpinsan yan. 91. 91. Okay. Let me end in this one guys. Ano 95 days? Yung 4.5 times guys, yung 3.9 times is equivalent to 95. 95 days. Ibig sabihin, it takes the company 95 days to buy raw materials, convert to finished goods, and then sell. 95 days. After 95 days, gano'n naman, 95 days. Samantalang si company, competitor, 60 days lang. O, sa tingin nyo sa race ng ito, sino mananalo? Diba? Days inventory outstanding. Within 60 days, nabenta na nila. Okay? Within 60 days, benta. Within 60 days, raw materials, convert to finished goods, benta. 60 days, tayo 95 days. So we're giving away 35 days. Okay? So kindly compute for this one guys, yung remaining. Lahat, no? Paki-compute na lang. So next meeting, ipapakita ko na yung mga values dito, no? Okay? And then we'll just compare the formulas. And I hope guys, ang focus natin yung analysis na lang, no? Huwag na masyado yung ano. Kasi andito naman no? Andito na yung mga formulas. So kindly just follow them. Tapos kung may mga questions na lang kayo, then just do it, no? Tapos ito din, andito naman guys yung explanation yan. Alright? So with that guys, I hope you do the assignment, no? Kasi pag wala kang guys, mas tumatagal yung natin, discussion natin. Okay, and then we need to finish this already by next meeting. Okay, with that guys, thank you so much. Let me stop recording.